Action.
I got laid off from my full-time job February 6, 2024. 10 years to the date of starting my business. And when I got laid off, I had no thought of what I would do. I already knew. Wouldn't you like to be in a position where you already know what it is you're gonna do when things hit the fan? She talked about the 300,000 women being laid off. Imagine knowing what your direction is already. When I say made for more, I'm not talking about more money. I'm talking about more peace, more fulfillment, more joy. The world sees you this way, but when you put your own thoughts, your own traumas, your own limiting beliefs, your own, I don't know if I can do this, in front of it, it changes the color altogether. Perception is stronger than reality. So how you perceive yourself is going to drive everything that you do. So I want you guys to clear your mind as I get ready to give you these 5 points and close out on how you can build your personal brand in 2026. These are the non-negotiables. Very much so, non-negotiables. And I'm excited about today because I want to start by giving a grounding truth and place it into a reality for you. Because I've seen people succeed. I know what it looks like. I've had success myself as well. And I've coached others into success using the same principles that I'm about to share today. These aren't just ideas I picked up from a book. I've lived this. Okay? They're fundamentals that show up everywhere that you look when you actually pay attention. Everywhere. I mean, roughly 10% of the world is left-handed. That means 90% of the people are wired to favor one side, one way, one approach, which is their right hand. In sports, that imbalance gets exposed fast, predominantly in basketball. Everybody knows that if you can only dribble with one hand, your game is going to be pretty shallow. It shows up like that in life and in business, but it's more quiet. The reality is the results are the same though. So I want to uncover that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about how we don't really focus on our weak hand. We focus on the hand that's strong. We focus on the thing that gives us joy and excitement when it comes to our business, our career, our life, our marriage, etc. But studies show that people who are bilingual tend to earn more, adapt faster, and have stronger problem solving skills. It's similar to people who are ambidextrous. They can move a little bit faster. They're interdependent. If they have shoulder surgery and they can't use their right arm for some period of time, ask me how I know, then it's easy for them to adapt to using their left arm because they're already ambidextrous. Why is that? Why are bilingual people stronger at problem solving? Why are ambidextrous people easier to adapt to having to use their left hand if they're predominantly right? It's because they can operate in more than one mode. They don't get stuck when the environments change. We just went through 5 years ago COVID-19 that rocked the world, and people had to adjust. Companies had to adjust. Those that adjusted are the ones that are stronger today. Those that did not probably still don't exist. Some marriages failed. We could talk on and on about that because they got stuck in the old environment. The same is true professionally. Most people don't plateau because they lack talent. They plateau because they keep leaning into what feels natural and they avoid the areas that feel uncomfortable, boring, mundane, or even corrective. In sports, no serious coach lets a player survive on one hand. Pressure always forces you into the weakness. And the longer you avoid training it, the more predictable your game becomes. Life works the same way. So, if you're willing to be honest, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to work on what you've been avoiding, I want to give you 5 principles that apply whether you're building a career, leading a team, or running a business, or both. These principles will not feel good at first, but they work. All right. So tonight's title is Work the Weekend. I just want to know by a show of hands, who's left-handed out here? If you're left-handed, put an L in the chat. If you're right-handed, put an R. If you're watching the replay, leave a comment. I just need to know who's left-handed and who's right-handed. Now, some people may be ambidextrous. Some people may be able to do a little bit of both. They left-handed, they throw right-handed. Who are you? Let me know in the chat if you're left-handed or right-handed. While I'm waiting for those to come in, I remember playing sandlot ball in my neighborhood growing up. And believe it or not, even though I'm 6'4", basketball was not my sport. I would play because I'm competitive, but nah, wasn't my thing. It was baseball, actually. And, I'm right-handed, so I throw and hit right-handed. My neighbor lived across the street from me, had a big yard, well, his dad did. And so we just made like a baseball field out of it. It even had a fence. So it was like childhood nostalgia, it's like you're going to always go back to those moments. But I remember one day, I could not hit the ball. One of my friends was pitching, and no matter what he threw, I was just striking out. And I'm like, how's he striking me out? I'm better than him. Well, he had learned my style, and he knew what worked and what didn't. And so I had to adjust. I taught myself how to swing left-handed. I worked on it day and night. I would go out in the backyard. I would watch all the greats, King Griffey Jr., some of the other left-handed hitters. But the person that I kind of honed in on was Barry Bonds. If you don't know, Barry Bonds is a very popular baseball player, and he hit the most home runs in the history of the game. Like, he broke Babe Ruth's record. He broke Hank Aaron's record. And some people got an asterisk next to it because of some things we won't talk about today. But he's still a great player. You can't take that away from him. Needless to say, he learned how to hit left-handed and right-handed. And that's one of the reasons why he became one of those great players. Great players are called switch hitters. They will switch how they stand, how they swing, which side of the plate they stand on, left or right, based on the pitcher, so that they can have the advantage. All right? And that's what I want you guys to be able to do in your business, in your career, in your hustle, whatever it is you're doing in life. This will apply if you focus in on it. So here's the first thing you need to do. If you don't have a pen, if you're driving, just, come back to the replay, but write this down if you do. The first thing you need to do, and you have to do this, even if you think you know, identify your weak hand. Identify your weak hand. Now, physically, with your body, your biology, you have 2 hands. But in business and career and life in general, you have more than 2 hands. Your hand could be not doing admin work. Your hand could be not going to the gym. Your hand could be, I'm going to speak transparently about my hand. When I say going to the gym, it came up. So my hand right now, my weak hand right now, is working out. I don't make time for it. That's my weak hand. I've identified that. I know that that's the area where I need to work. Your weak hand could be some friendships and relationships that you've been neglecting, that you need to pay a little bit more attention to, somebody that you need to call. Your weak hand could be sending out invoices. I know people who want to make money in their business, but they don't like doing invoices. Make it make sense. Pun intended. There are a number of weak hands. You have to identify it. If you don't know what it is, how can you ever work on it? And that brings me to a thought that I had, because My children grew up playing sports, and in their younger years, I was coaching the sports. I was a part of that. And as they got older, I realized really quickly, if I'm not going to dive all the way in, I'm not going to coach them, because I'm either going to hold them back, not giving them the talent and skills they need, or being able to develop them, or I'm just going to suck as a coach. And so you know, one of the key things about being a parent watching your kids playing sports is realizing that if you don't do it, some other dad is going to do it. And if you feel like you can do it better than him, then you probably should sign up. So I found myself coaching my sons up until maybe second or third grade. And one of my sons was really good at sports and basketball and stuff at that age. He could shoot the gym out. Like, I mean, Steph Curry before he's Steph Curry type thing. And of course, every parent is going to say that. But no, that was his skill. But I, as his coach and as his dad, I witnessed his weakness, which was his dribbling. He could not dribble to save his life. He would just get the ball and shoot it. And so when I called him out on it, of course, he felt some kind of way. And I'm like, son, you need to work on your dribbling skills. This is second grade. Fast forward to seventh grade. He's, still playing in the neighborhood and doing stuff. And even a month ago, when my son from college came home, I challenged him. And the first thing I did, if you guys know basketball, you know how to do this. If there's somebody who can only dribble going to the right, all you have to do is stop them from going to the right. And now their game is one-dimensional. So that's what I did, and I forced him to go left. There are moments in your career and in your business where you're going to be forced to go left. There are moments in your business and your career where you're going to be forced to deal with that weak hand that you have not developed, that you have not worked on at all. I tore my right rotator cuff in 2021, and I could not lift my right arm at all. When I say tore, I mean torn. It was not a tear, it was ripped. I couldn't lift my right arm. I had to depend on my left arm. And guess who had a very weak left arm? Your guy. So the first thing you have to do is identify your weakness. Don't be ashamed of that, and don't run from it. It's okay. We all have weaknesses. And guess what? If you find that weakness and you turn it into a strength, another weakness is going to appear. That's just how it is. So identify the weakness and begin to work on it. That's number one. Number two, and this is where a lot of people get caught up. I can confess that I have been there myself. You have to stop avoiding the boring work. Stop avoiding the boring work. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't create dopamine. It doesn't release endorphins. It doesn't put you in a position where you feel good about it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Boring work. For my entrepreneurs out there, that's payroll. That's getting paperwork ready for taxes and filing stuff before the deadline. That's sending administrative emails for people who manage other people. That is going through the metrics and looking at all the KPIs and the things that you hold off until the last minute right before the one-on-one. Doing some of that boring work, the real dribbling drills, right? The ones where you have to put your strong arm behind your back and focus on the weak arm. Doing the boring work is where the riches come from. It's where the joy and the fulfillment reside. It's how you grow from the level you're on to the next level. And you can't do that by not doing the weak work or, strengthening the weak areas, right? So it's boring. It's not sexy. Nobody wants to sit and fine tune the basics of a terms and conditions page. That's not fun, but it's protective. Who wants to draw out a contract or do a 14-page proposal or pitch deck in order to get to the next level? Nobody. But it does help you to get to the next level. And here's the last thing you don't want to do. You don't want to get into a situation where there's an opportunity, but you didn't do the boring work, and now it's too late to get all the boring work done before this opportunity becomes something that you can take advantage of. When you do the boring work and you make it a part of your routine, what will end up happening is structure and systems and having things in place so that when that opportunity presents itself, because it absolutely will, it's not a question of if an opportunity will come, it's when. When that opportunity comes, if you have done the boring work, then you'll be ready for it. So don't skip the boring work. All right, number one was identify the weak hand. Number two was stop avoiding the boring work. Number three, I can hear toes crunching already. All right, invite correction without defensiveness. Invite correction without defensiveness. I remember earlier in my career, I would just show up to work 5 minutes late casually, act like nothing was wrong, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just depends on what's going on, right? If there were traffic or, I couldn't get a parking spot, hey, that's life. I couldn't get, I showed up on time, but things came in my way, and now that's why I'm late. I didn't realize it was, excuses. I didn't realize that it was something that I really needed to hone in and get corrected. And I'll never forget my boss at the time. I didn't realize what she was doing, but she basically got one of her managers that reported to her and assigned him to me. I likened I likened him to the name Bulldog. He was my Bulldog assignment. He would literally, I was supposed to be at work at 7 a.m. He would be at my desk waiting on me at 7 a.m. every day. Yes, Monday through Friday. Didn't matter. And at first I was like, what is this? Am I being treated like a child? I tell you, the brain of a 20-year-old. And he would be there just in case I was late. And it didn't matter how late I was. If I was 1 minute late, he was there. If I was 15 minutes late, he was there. Of course, the intensity went up depending on how late I was, but it didn't matter. 7:01, I was late. The idea was, if you're not at your desk working at 7 o'clock or ready to work, then you're late. And that's when I first learned the phrase or the saying, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And being late is unacceptable. And so he would make me go through all of my accounts and we would talk through them. It was almost like a audit, just because I was late every single time. And I hated it, man. Oh, I couldn't stand it. And so one day I was like, how can I fix this? Because I don't like him showing up at my desk every day. It's nerve-wracking. I can either leave this job or I can do something different. But needless to say, I wasn't going to leave the job. So I was like, what can I do? How can I make sure I'm never late? I looked at my phone. I had 17 alarms set. 6 o'clock, 6:05, 6:08, 6:10, 6:15, 6:20. And I was like, this is ridiculous. When the snooze goes off, I'm just gonna get up. I'm not gonna hit the next alarm and keep on doing that over and over again. So I deleted every alarm I had. I only had one alarm. And I did that because I knew that if I had a net to fall on, I would take advantage of that. But with one alarm, I'm gonna get up because I don't want to lose my job. And I started showing up to work on time every day, changed my life. To this day, I'm a stickler for being on time. I can't stand being late to anything. You can ask my kids and my wife. I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm on time no matter where I go, right? But it was inviting that critique because I didn't do it at first. I was very defensive. I didn't want that to be a part of my life. It was inviting that critique that allowed me to begin to position myself, right, for growth, for expansion. And it has affected my business, my marriage, my career, everything that you can think of. That principle can be applied to. So I am telling you to invite correction, because without it, how can you ever tighten up on areas that you might be weak? And I also said without defensiveness, leave the defense at home. This is an offensive play. It's not because somebody is being offensive to you, it's because you need to be offensive towards your career. You need to play on offense. How are you going to score points if you're not playing on offense? So this is something that can help you. Instead of looking at that coworker that's getting on your nerves because they're hating on you, look at them and say, let me not give them something to hate on me on. How can they hate on me if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do? They can't. How can that boss that's treating you bad treat you bad if you're doing what you're supposed to do? They can't. Now, people are people, right? People are going to be people no matter what. What I'm advising you guys to do is to take advantage of those disadvantages. Put yourself in position where these things that would one day be a hurdle or obstacle in front of you turns into something that catapults you up in the air and towards your destiny. As a person who ran hurdles in high school, I can tell you that it's more daunting than it looks. Once you learn how to do it, it becomes something that is exciting and thrilling to do. So don't get caught up in the hype of this person came at me. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe she wrote that note. No, you should believe it. As a matter of fact, if there's something that's coming against you and you feel like it's adversity and you feel like you're not getting a fair shot, just understand that that's an opportunity for you to grow yourself. So let go of the defenses, pick up the offenses, and invite correction into your life. All right, number 4, eliminate one-dimensional development. Eliminate one-dimensional development. Well, what is one-dimensional development, Rod? I'm so glad you asked. I mean, I wasn't going to explain it, but since you asked, I got you. One-dimensional development is when you're only focused on developing one particular thing. Okay? You have to have the ability to look at various sectors of your life simultaneously. Am I expecting you to do it all? No. But don't just work on your left hand dribble. You also need to work on your ability to pass. You also need to work on tightening your shot so that it's better. People always rant and rave about Stephen Curry and his ability to shoot 3-pointers. But people don't realize he works on everything. He works on his teardrop layup. He works on half-court shots. He works on dribbling, passing, getting off the screen, creating separation. He's not the greatest defensive player in the world, but I guarantee you he works on it. When you eliminate one-dimensional development, what you end up doing is developing yourself in other areas more rapidly. By going live, I'm developing my impromptu skills. I'm developing my ability to speak into a camera without feeling nervous. I'm developing my ability to speak on a stage in general. So when I get a keynote offer to talk in front of 5,000 people, I won't feel any kind of way about it because I'm accustomed to it. I've already been in that rhythm, even though it's not the exact same thing. One deposit will spill over into the next cup. It's a domino effect. So don't get caught up developing one thing. Yes, you want to be strong and known for one thing, but don't get so focused on that one thing that you don't have any room to expand. Take my marketing agency, for instance. I am owner of a full service marketing agency. That means anything with digital magnification we can do. But we built our foundation on web development. Imagine if I just got stuck in the train of web development and I didn't do anything outside of that. I guarantee you wouldn't be listening to me right now. But because I was focused on developing in multiple areas, we do videography, photography, logo design, social media management. I mean, you name it. Anything when it comes to digital magnification and marketing, we're able to do. That happened because we're not one dimensional. Now, we specialize in certain things, just like Stephen Curry specializes in shooting three-pointers. That's what he's known for, right? Dunkin' Donuts, they used to be known for donuts. Now they're known for fill in the blank, coffee. I can go on and on. If you have something that you're great at, good, but you also need to develop in other ways. All right, number 5. This is how we work on our weekend. Now, before I go to number 5, I'm gonna do a quick recap for the people that jumped in late. All right. If you're in here, let me know in the chat if you heard any of these, which one is the first thing you're gonna hone in on. Okay. Number 1, identify your weekend. Number 2, stop avoiding the boring work. That's another part of your weekend. Number 3, invite correction without defensiveness. Number 4, eliminate one-dimensional development. Eliminate it. Even when you're working on something specific and you want to grow it, you should still have a multifaceted approach because it's all going to help the same thing. All right, and finally, number 5, develop unilateral value. Okay? Unilateral. I don't like how that sounds. Unilateral. Develop unilateral value. Why am I saying that? In order to be a pro, you have to be good at everything. The weakest players in the NBA will still beat any LA Fitness player hands down. Why is that? Because he's still a pro. You don't become a professional by not putting in the work and developing your game in multiple areas. I talk about my son playing basketball. He's 15. He still challenges me to this day. I've yet to give him the crown of, okay, you finally got me. No, you haven't gotten me yet. So, like I said, when my college son came home from school, they play basketball outside. Even in the wintertime, I'm like, see, that's what's wrong with y'all now. But anyhow, every time he challenges me, I'll give him some old man game. I'm like, look, I'll play the 3. You're not going to beat me on a technicality of me being winded. All right. You're going to have to beat me. And so the first thing I do is I take him to the post. If you don't know what the post is, that's when you basically get really physical. You use your body to get closer to the goal. Why do I do that? Because that's my advantage over him. I'm taller than him. I got more experience than him. I weigh more than him. But I'm not about to chase him around. What do I look like? I'm not about to compete on that level and tear my ACL. I'm not going to do that. Okay? But I know I can handle him because he doesn't work on his post game. All he does is shoot and try to dribble and look fancy. See? These kids grew up in the TikTok era. I grew up in the stay outside until the street light come on era. Okay? So I know a thing or two about being a little tougher in those conditions. So it would make no sense for me to be out at the perimeter trying to guard him. When it comes to your career and your business, who are you out at the perimeter trying to guard, knowing good and well you're not prepared for that? You didn't stretch good enough to be in that arena. It's out of your comfort zone for a reason. You're trying to compete on a playing field that you've never stepped foot on. You have to develop unilateral value so that you can apply yourself in positions that make sense for those arenas. Okay, let me break it down for you. Okay. When I was at my last tenure at an organization, part of my job was having to go out and speak to C-level executives that may have been, disgruntled, frustrated, or unhappy with our product. And I had to learn those ropes. I had to understand what it looks like to sit down at dinner, when the perfect time to break out of the personal chat into business conversation made sense, or like not jumping right into business conversations. There's so many different nuances that happens in that realm that I was unaware of. But once I developed it, I was able to provide value because they saw that those conversations were turning the table. Those conversations were making customers who were getting ready to walk away from $1 million deals say, you know what? I like that Rod guy. We had a great conversation over drinks. Go ahead and send me the contract. I developed unilateral value. I was in a position where I was not required to do those things, but I was still able to do it. I found a way to employ my marketing skills in creating presentations and doing videos and editing things and making sure the colors were right, to the point where I got the attention of the marketing department. Right? But that's because I had unilateral value. So I want to leave you with this perspective. In sports, the advantage is just strength. Well, it's not just strength, it's also versatility. That's why ambidextrous players are harder to guard. Think about Kyrie Irving. If you don't know him, Google him. Very great dribbler. He's ambidextrous. He's very hard to guard. You don't know if he's going left or right at any moment. That's why bilingual people adapt faster. And they get looks a little bit more, because you never know when you're going to have somebody else coming in and they'll be able to speak that language. That's also why well-rounded professionals advance further. So I'm urging you to become more well-rounded. Strong hands get the attention, but weak hands decide outcomes. I'm going to say that again. Strong hands get attention. Weak hands decide outcomes. If we're in a boxing match and you only know how to punch with your right arm, and I know how to punch with both, the chances are you're going to lose. It's not because it's 2 versus 1. It's because you can't anticipate what's about to happen with either one of my arms, but I can anticipate exactly what's going to happen with yours. If you only develop what you enjoy, your life, your brand, everything that you're doing will always be limited. You got to develop the things that you don't enjoy. When you're willing to train what you avoid, when you stop fighting feedback and start using it, stop taking things so personal, and realize that it's just business, you will become valuable in rooms, more situations, and more seasons of life than you ever dreamed of. This conversation was about awareness. The next step is alignment and application. Okay? Inside of the House of Brand community, we do a coaching call each month to talk through these things. We go deeper into how you position your life and your brand so the work compounds. And in the in-person brand strategy mastermind that I'm doing at the end of February, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to slow it all the way down and actually work on these areas together. I talked about being a coach for my second and third grader, but I'm a different kind of coach now. I'm coaching adults into their destiny. Okay? So if this hit home, don't rush past it. The work that you avoid today becomes the obstacle that you face tomorrow. The work you train becomes the advantage that you can carry forward. Okay, do the work that most people skip. If you're interested in joining the House of Brand community, where we're teaching and working on these things and getting our dribble together and learning how to be ambidextrous in life and in business, just visit community.rodbrinson.com. We'd love to have you. It's going to be an amazing time, because I'm not just developing your business and your brand. I'm developing you for your purpose in life. All right. That said, follow me for more if you're interested. Outside of that, it was a lovely time. We will be here every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the rest of this year. Why? Because I made that commitment, because it's part of my weekend, I'm working on my weekend. There will be no weekend by the end of this. Just understand that. And so then I'll be developing the next weekend because, like I said, it's not just about having two hands in business and in branding. All right, y'all. Have a good night. We will see y'all on the next trip. Peace.